What if the world as we know it had taken a different turn? Imagine a world where Germany won WW2. Today, let's embark on a thought-provoking journey through an alternate history, where the Axis powers claimed victory in the Second World War, a conflict that reshaped the globe from 1939 to 1945. In this alternate timeline, the successful strategies and alliances of Germany led to a completely different outcome. The implications of such a victory would stretch far beyond the borders of any single nation, influencing political systems, social structures, and even the pace of technological innovation worldwide. By exploring this scenario, we peel back the layers of history as we know it, and examine the profound effects a different victor might have had on the world stage. How would global politics have shifted? What new social norms might have emerged? These questions set the foundation of our exploration. Now let us dive into this alternate reality, beginning with the political landscape. The victory of Germany reshapes the global political map. Imagine a world where the Axis powers emerged victorious in World War II. The landscape of international relations and political dominance would have undergone a seismic shift. Central to this new world order would be a German-dominated global hegemony, extending its influence far beyond the borders of Europe. In Europe, the map would be redrawn to consolidate Germany's power, likely annexing or puppeteering many of its neighbors. Countries like France, Poland, and the Soviet territories might have become satellite states, stripped of their autonomy and heavily influenced by German policies and governance. Beyond Europe, the Axis powers, including Japan and Italy, would likely expand their territories in Asia and Africa. Japan might have solidified its grip on East Asia, extending its empire through China, Korea, and perhaps into Australia. Italy could have taken control of larger parts of Africa, reshaping the continent's colonial landscape dramatically. The fate of the Allied nations under this new regime would be starkly different. The United States, having been pushed back across the Atlantic, might focus on fortifying its own territory and influence in the Americas. The UK, having lost its European footholds, could revert to isolation, or perhaps even fall under Axis influence through coercive diplomacy or direct control. The reorganization of territories under German control would likely be systematic and strategic. Resources, industrial power, and labor would be redistributed to fortify the Axis's global dominance. This could lead to an economic boom for the Axis powers, driven by exploitation and enforced cooperation from subjugated nations. Culturally and politically, the influence of Nazi ideology would permeate global policies and societal norms. Rights and freedoms could be extensively curtailed, with stringent controls on speech, assembly, and press. Education would be reformed to propagate the Axis ideologies, effectively reshaping the cultural landscape of entire nations. With new powers come new policies. How would societal norms and everyday life change under this regime? Under German rule, society undergoes profound transformations. Imagine a world where the very fabric of daily life is dictated not just by laws, but by a pervasive ideology that seeps into every nook and cranny of existence. In this alternate reality, where Germany emerged victorious in World War II, the landscape of culture, social policies, and even human relationships is dramatically altered. At the heart of these changes is propaganda. It becomes not merely a tool, but the cornerstone of societal control. Through films, radio broadcasts, and printed media, the state crafts a new narrative for its citizens. This narrative glorifies the German achievements and promotes a starkly homogeneous cultural identity, systematically erasing the rich tapestry of diversity that once colored these regions. Education systems are completely overhauled to align with the new regime's ideologies. Schools become breeding grounds for loyalty to the state, where young minds are molded to fit a specific archetype. Subjects like history and literature are rewritten to elevate Germanic values and diminish the contributions of other cultures. Science, too, is co-opted, taught only in ways that further the state's agenda. The arts undergo a rigid censorship and redirection. Music, painting, literature, and theater, once expressions of individual creativity and societal critique, are now strictly monitored and used to reinforce the regime's ideals. The vibrant avant-garde movements that defined pre-war Europe are replaced with state-sanctioned works that promote strength, obedience, and conformity. For minority groups, these changes spell marginalization and persecution. Those who do not fit the new societal mold face severe repercussions, ranging from exclusion to outright violence. This repression, however, also sows the seeds of resistance. Underground movements begin to form. finding ways to subvert the state's propaganda and educate others about the value of diversity and freedom. Gender roles and family structures, too, are redefined to prioritize state needs over individual desires. Men and women are pushed into roles that serve the state best, often at the cost of personal freedom and family cohesion. As society adapts, so too does technology. What innovations might emerge in this alternate world? Technological progress often accelerates in times of change. Imagine a world where Germany had emerged victorious in World War II. This victory would have undoubtedly steered the course of technological development in directions that might seem both innovative and formidable. The first area of accelerated advancement would likely be rocketry. Under the leadership of visionaries like Werner von Braun, Germany had already made significant strides in this field by the mid-20th century. In a world dominated by German influence, the V-2 rocket, which was the first long-range guided ballistic missile, would have been just the beginning. We could envision a scenario where space exploration and military missile technology would have evolved hand in hand, perhaps putting the first satellite, or even the first man, into orbit decades before it actually happened. Aviation technology would have also seen exponential growth. Jet engines, which were in their infancy during the war, could have been rapidly developed, leading to faster, more efficient aircraft dominating the skies. Imagine sleek, advanced fighters and bombers significantly outpacing the technologies of any rival nations, altering the balance of global air power. Civil aviation could have transformed as well, with transatlantic flights becoming faster, making the world a smaller place much earlier in history. Communications technology, another pivotal area, might have taken a different trajectory. With a focus on military efficiency and state control, innovations in radar and radio communications could have been prioritized, possibly ushering in an era of digital communication long before the real advent of the internet. Such advancements could have tightened the regime's grip on information, controlling and surveilling civilian populations to an unprecedented degree. These technological strides would not exist in a vacuum. They would reshape global dynamics, influencing everything from military strategies to international diplomacy. The ripple effects in warfare, surveillance, global communication, and even daily civilian life would be profound. Every action has a reaction. What would the global response be to this new superpower? Not all nations would quietly accept German hegemony. In this imagined world where Germany emerged victorious in World War II, the map of global power is redrawn, but not everyone is willing to follow the lines. Resistance would likely be fierce and multifaceted. Within the German-controlled territories, we can envisage underground movements springing up like wildfire. In countries with a strong sense of national identity, such as France or Poland, clandestine groups would possibly form quickly, utilizing sabotage, assassination, and propaganda to undermine German rule. These groups would draw on deep-seated traditions of resistance, echoing the efforts seen during the actual World War II. Outside the immediate sphere of German control, other major powers might not stand idly by. The United States, assuming it remained neutral or was defeated but not occupied, could become a central hub for resistance efforts. With its industrial might and resources, the US would be in a position to supply rebel groups with the tools needed for their struggle. In the East, it's conceivable that Japan, if it hadn't been aligned with Germany, or if the alliance faltered post-victory, might also play a role in opposing German dominance, aiming to expand its own sphere of influence in Asia. This opposition wouldn't be purely military, it could also involve economic warfare and competing ideologies. Espionage and intelligence-gathering efforts would be paramount. Both sides would likely engage in a shadow war of spies, where information is as crucial as bullets. Secret alliances, covert operations, and intelligence networks would form the backbone of global resistance against German rule. In this alternate reality, technology would also play a critical role. Innovation in communications and encryption might accelerate, driven by the urgent need for secure lines of resistance communication. This technological race could lead to earlier developments of technologies reminiscent of the internet or modern cryptography. With our exploration complete, let's summarize our journey into this alternate reality. We've traveled through a world transformed by a different outcome to a pivotal war. Imagine a tapestry where each thread represents a facet of society: political, technological, and social. In this alternate reality, Each thread is dramatically recolored by the victory of Germany in World War II. In this world, the political landscape has been redrawn like a map crafted by unfamiliar hands. Nations realigned under new ideologies and power structures, forging alliances that once seemed improbable. Society too has morphed under the weight of these changes. Traditional values and norms have been challenged or outright replaced, creating a new cultural fabric that is both alien and familiar. Technological advancements have surged forward, driven by necessity and unfettered by the ethical considerations that might have prevailed otherwise. Meanwhile, the sparks of resistance have not only endured, but have also ignited global movements, challenging the new order at every turn. These elements are not isolated. They influence and shape each other, creating a dynamic and interconnected web of consequences. While this alternate reality remains in the realm of what if, it challenges us to think about how pivotal events shape our world. Thank you for joining me on this speculative journey.